So a hybrid animal is a combination of two or more animals so that they look like a whole new species. Here's an example of a bird and a cat. Let's talk about selecting pictures that are going to work well for this Photoshop adventure. So I found this bird that I'd like to place on a cat. And now I need to think about what kind of cat body am I going to use with the bird. First thing I want to do is to definitely use a cat body that is going to be in the same color family. So something that is gray or white would probably work best. The other thing I want to look for is a cat where the head of the bird will fit naturally. So if the bird is in profile, we're looking at the right side of the bird mostly. I also want to be looking at the right side of the cat's body. Here's an example of what might not work well. So I have this very attractive black cat, lovely eyes, right? But as soon as I add the basics of the bird's head to it, even if I erase the ears and do some adjustment layer, it's still not working. Photoshop is magic, but there's only so much you can do. I'm going to have a lot more success with this cat. It's gray. This is the right side of the cat. It's in profile. So I want to make sure I choose images that are going to make my job fun and easier. So let's roll with this one so that we can end up with this. All right, so off to our bird. The first thing I'm going to do to see how much Photoshop wants to help me out is go to Select and choose Subject. Great. I'm going to take all of this. Now you might say, why? I just need the head of the bird. You're right, but I don't know how much blending I'm going to need. So I want the most of each image that can work well for me. So we'll just do a quick Control or Command C to copy. I'm going to bounce over to my cat, Control or Command V, like victory, to paste. And there's the bird. Obviously, we've got to do some adjusting here. So you can either go to Free Transform or you can do Control or Command T. And let's resize. And take your time with this, friends. This is really what sets the stage for a realistic, if we can call it that, image. So I'm going to get them roughly lined up. I'd also like to rotate the bird. So if you take your pointer and move it outside of the bird's selection area, you'll see that the pointer turns into a curving arrow. Now I can click and drag and rotate like that. I'm still thinking about size and placement, which is all good. Sometimes what is helpful is to make the top layer transparent. So you'll notice if you look in the layers panel in the lower right-hand corner, I'm on layer 1. I'm going to click on the opacity slider right above, and I'll just move it down to around 50 or 60%. And now I can Control or Command T again and start to position. Sometimes I'll really think about if I get the eyes lined up, the rest of it just seems to come together. So let's get those eyes lined up and we'll see what happens with the rest. Great, I'm happy with my placement. I'm going to click Done or the check mark up on the top menu bar. Go back to layer 1, bring the opacity back to 100%. I'm staying on layer 1 and I'm going to add a layer mask. The layer mask is found at the bottom of the layers window. It looks like a white rectangle with a black circle in the middle. Click it and you will get a white rectangle that appears on that layer. This is the layer mask. And you'll notice I can click over to the thumbnail of the actual image, but in this case, I want to stay clicked on the layer mask thumbnail. Let's grab a brush from the left side, and I'm going to start brushing away just the parts of the bird I don't want. Folks, layer masking is non-destructive, which means I can press X on the keyboard and I can paint that back. I like this so much better than plain old erasing. You know what's going to help me too is to zoom in. So I'm going to use Control or Command and push plus. Hold down the space bar to get the hand and zoom and move a little bit. Okay, so I'm just going to erase some of this for now so I can look at placement. I can always bring it back. We know that, right? All right. So I am using the brush to do some basic blending here and resizing the brush a little bit. Bring in a little bit more of the bird. Usually when I'm using this tool, I'm pressing X a lot to allow me to add or press X again and erase. And that works really well for me. Okay, so I like the general placement. I like the direction this is going, but now I'd like to blend a little bit of fur and feather. I'm going to keep using the layer masking tool, but the change I'm going to make is up on the top menu bar. I'm clicking next to the word opacity, and let's just move it to around 50%. And I'm going to start brushing so that I get some of the bird texture and some of the cat a bit more blended in. This is going to work differently with different images that you've selected. 50% is not a magic number. Maybe you need to raise it a little bit. Maybe you need to lower it a little bit. The choice is yours. So I'm going to say I'm happy with my blending. You tell me if you are, because I could do this forever. But there's a challenge here. And the challenge for me is that you can still see the cat nose, cat ears. It's not happening well. I want to remove the cat from this picture. So I'm going to first go back to the layers panel, click on the eyeball next to the bird layer and hide it. Now I'm going to click on the background layer and use a tool called Clone Stamp. So the clone stamp is located on the left-hand toolbar just below the brush. It looks like a regular ink stamp. I'm going to click on that. The way this works is that you have to use the Alt or Option key to select pixels from one part of the picture, and then we're going to brush them onto a different part of the picture. So I want to take this dark area right here and bring it down to cover the cat's ears. So I'm going to hold the Alt or Option key. The cursor turns to a crosshairs. I'm going to click in the dark area and now let go of Alt or Option. Bring the pointer down. Bring our opacity for the brush back to 100%. And I'm just going to paint. I don't have to be super careful about how much of the cat I cover, because remember, when I turn that bird layer back on, the bird is going to cover most of that. So I'm still working on this background layer just to make that look good. I'm going to check with bird layer. I need to remove the nose. I'm going to clone stamp over the cat's nose. Select a new area. But I would like to keep the cat's whiskers in place. So if I go back to my layers panel, lower right-hand corner, and I click to bring that up, I'm kind of liking what I'm seeing here. Let me just clone stamp out a bit more there. Turn that back on. I'm going to click back on the thumbnail for the bird image. Control or Command T to resize. I'm actually using the arrow to move that bird over to the right a little more, but you can use the mouse as well. It just feels like it gives me more precision. Back to fine tuning with layer masking. Playing with the opacity because I do want to bring in and make it look like the bird and the whiskers are a bit more blended. And I think I will pay a little more attention to this area up here as well. Get Some layer masking happening here. All right. And if I zoom out, there we have your very own bird cat. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy making a hybrid animal. Can't wait to see your results. Farewell.